Yeah, I'm here with actually Glenn Richardson, of course, one of the biggest stories of the weekend. Glenn not going to take part this weekend. Glenn, you went out in practice, you had a go. The arm, is it just not strong enough?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good go, and we weren't that far away in race tyres, and I didn't see any sense in using a qualifier because there's no way I could hang on for 2 races. I'll probably get away with 1 race, but definitely not 2. So best off sitting out for another couple of weeks, and we'll have a good go at Cadwell.
And you need to have a good go because, as Keith's saying, it's the silly season. Everybody's looking for rides next year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've had a bit of a shocking year, really, with lots of injuries, and I've got the last 3 rounds to show everyone that I can still ride a motorbike.
Well, I'm glad you're here anyway because we want to know more about this circuit. Your 2 riders, obviously John McGuinness is here on the 3rd row, and of course Scott Smart is on the 2nd row. First of all, start with John. If you were in his position today, how would you play this circuit?
Well, I mean, I don't think the boys have dropped onto the perfect setup. I mean, John's here on the 3rd row. I mean, he was looking at a 2nd row start, but just got a little bit mucked up on his qualifying tyres. So he's on the 3rd row, so he's just going to have to get a good start and see where he ends up.
What about Scotty?
With Scotty, well, he just got bumped off the 1st row at the end of qualifying by Michael Rutter. He was sitting in 4th to the last 2 minutes of qualifying, and he's ended up 5th on the 2nd row. So he's in a pretty good position, really. I mean, he's starting behind Yukio Kageyama, and I mean, Kageyama has been the man in form this weekend. He's been pretty much quickest in every session, and he's going to be the man to beat today. And Scott's starting behind him, so he's in a good position.
Well, listen, thanks for talking to us, and sorry you're not out there, but we'll probably talk to you a little bit later.
Thank you, mate.
Well, we've got a little bit of time. I want you to quickly have a quick word, if I can, with the top privateer this afternoon, John Kirkham. Good to see him up here, and, well, you're in a good position today. How do you like this track?
Yeah, it's all right, actually. It's quite tight and twisty and bumpy, but it's quite a lot of fun to ride around, so...
3rd in the championship at the moment, but we'll get down to the nitty-gritty, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it. It's getting to the last stages of the championship, and I just have to see what I can do.
All right, best of luck today.
Cheers.
Let's move forward a little bit further. You can see John Reynolds, as we just mentioned here, as you heard Glenn was talking about, on the 2nd row. We were talking to Neil. Let's see how he's feeling. How you feel about the start of the race, John? I know you've had your problems over the weekend.
Yeah, it's been a tough weekend all in all so far, but fingers crossed, we've got a few problems sorted out now.
Have you sorted them out?
Sorry?
Have you sorted them out now?
Yeah, I think we have, yes. We were quickest this morning, but I've got a lot of good lads in front of me at the moment, so we're just going to have to just get on with the race and see what happens.
How important is the start here? I get the feeling there's only 1 line around here.
Yeah, vital. I mean, I haven't overtaken anybody all weekend, so that just goes to show, doesn't it?
Fair enough. Okay, best of luck to John Reynolds. The championship has just summed it up, really. 1 line round here, very bumpy, and I think it's going to be so important. Michael Rutter, here's the front row. Kageyama, superb in qualifying. Let's see if we can get a word from Michael. How are you going to stop Kageyama today? He's on it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on fire, just got to see what we can do.
An important weekend for you?
Very, very.
Feel good about it?
Yeah, sun's out. It's good.
Man of brief words. Likewise, James Hayden on the front row with the Yamaha, and let's see if we can get a word from him. Are you confident about today?
Yeah, no, feeling good. We've improved the Virgin Mobile Samsung Yamaha every session, and we'll be looking for a good result.
All about this first corner. Can you get up the inside?
Yeah. Whole shot. That's me. I can see it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Confident words from James Hayden, but Dean Thomas, I've actually worried about actually talking to Dean on the grid because every time I talk to him and say, "Is this the day?" we kind of look at each other and smile. But how about today?
Well, let's hope. I mean, we've been trying all year, and we just seem to, miss out just slightly. I mean, Knockhill was the closest we got, no crash. So I don't know. I mean, sun's out. It's a good day. Let's hope so.
Now we've got cameras everywhere, including on cranes looking down the hairpin. But I'm looking forward to that first shot in that first corner. I was watching you at warm-up. Boy, that was fun.
Yeah, it's a tight turn, and the surface is quite smooth there, so it's quite slippery into there. But it's going to be a tight race all around. There's not a lot of room to pass, and I think everybody's going to struggle with the same problem. So I think the idea is get to that turn first.
All right, listen, best of luck to you. Dean Thomas obviously on the outside, and I think actually he's got a very good starting position from here. If you look down to the front, or to the first corner, which is a right-hander, and everybody's talking about it. You heard what John Reynolds has said. He says that the first lap is going to be so important, simply because it's so tight around here. It's very bumpy. There's 1 line. They've not actually tested here at Croft, and it's going to be interesting, this race.
And he goes, actually, it's going to be a very interesting story about him. Of course, he's having a ride on the WCM with MotoGP bike next week as well for a bit of a test. But meanwhile, we are at Croft. This is going to be the opening race of round 10. And straight away, they come under orders. Yukio Kageyama then, well, he is a yard ahead of Michael Rutter on the grid because he is in pole position. But turn 1 here at Croft is going to be so very hectic. They might make it 2 abreast into turn 1, but then it's a chicane immediately after that. And that is going to be single file only, I can tell you. Here we go then, as the motor's revving away. Yukio Kageyama got an absolute flyer there as the lights changed immediately. John Reynolds, well, he's mired right back in the second row melee, and it's Hayden who comes through into second place underneath. It looked like to me Scott Smart there. There's the chicane I was talking about. Yukio gets it through. Hayden next up. Then it is Scott Smart on the Kawasaki, and it looks like the Gentin. Was that the Gentin racing motorcycle?
Good start from Tommy Hill, I think.
It might have been Tommy Hill. Yes, you're right. It was Tommy Hill indeed. As we look down the back straight now, Kageyama leads from Hayden. It was Tommy Hill on bike number 8 that's in 4th place at the moment. The other Virgin Mobile bike. Look at James Hayden keeping that protective line into the right-hander. A good passing opportunity place that is at Tower. Then it's a long way around here. They love this racetrack, although it is a little bit bumpy and the barriers are a little bit close in places. But Croft, the sun shines on us here at Croft. Terrible rain on Friday, nothing to worry about. Forecast today. Yukio Kageyama already easing away at the front of the field. Lap 1 of 22. Neil McKenzie, this is a hell of a track, bit of a rider's track, isn't it, as they come back towards our commentary position now.
It really is, and the first lap is so important. As you see Kageyama coming up here to the left-hander into the complex. The track really slows down into this next right-hander. Second gear through here.
Oh!
Scott Smart trying to go round it. Outside of James Hayden. Tommy Hill, what a fantastic start off the third row of the grid. Tommy Hill right behind Scott Smart there in 4th position, and John Reynolds right behind Tommy Hill on the Rizla Suzuki.
A lot of change, and Michael Rudder right behind him. A lot of changes to the Rizla Suzuki of John Reynolds. Really has found himself all at sea as far as setup's concerned. But look, he's challenging now for Tommy Hill to move up into 4th place if he can. Reynolds on bike number 2, then the Rizla Suzuki. Here he goes through bike number 8, which is the Virgin Mobile of Tommy Hill. And behind them is 3, Michael Rudder. Well, if Michael Rudder's going to stand any chance anywhere in this championship, he has got to make a big effort to get in front of the Rizla Suzukis. Well, at least one of them, and that's the number 2 Rizla Suzuki of John Reynolds right there in the middle of your picture at the moment. So, Reynolds on his way, but still out front, his teammate Yukio Kageyama.
As we mentioned earlier, John Reynolds really struggled through practice, just really made a few wrong decisions. Lost his way a little bit, but fortunately managed to turn it all around this morning in the morning warm-up. Really stiffened the front up, stiffened the rear up, and just to stop the weight transfer a bit on that Rizla Suzuki. But Michael Rutter trying to get past number 8, Tommy Hill there. Tommy Hill, brilliant starter, as we've seen at Mallory Park. He had a brilliant run at the front after qualifying on the front row at Mallory Park, and again having a good run here at Croft.
Well, James Hayden's in 2nd place at the moment. That's bike 36, the Virgin Mobile Yamaha. But I can tell you, those of you that are looking, there's another one. That's bike number 8, which is Tommy Hill, another Virgin Mobile Yamaha. And you can see just there in the background, number 6, that is Gary Mason on the other Virgin Mobile Yamaha. And the 4th one, they've got 4 out there, of course. Steve Plater is on the deck at the moment, so Steve Plater has fallen. We wait for a report from him, but Plater is off. There he is. He's walking back already. So Steve Plater, well, he must have fell down at the hairpin, so that's a short walk from where he is just there. Still it is Yukio Kageyama, though, who leads over the line. We're on lap 3 of 22. This is going to be fast and furious. As Scott Smart, well, he really is making it work hard at the moment. Joining us here now in the commentary position is his teammate, of course, and Glenn Richards. Scotty doing it all right. Is it a war of attrition round Croft? You've ridden round here in qualifying. Shame you couldn't ride, but tell us about Scott's task.
Oh, well, it is a very tough track here at Croft. Very, very bumpy, and there isn't really a line through the bumps. It's just one of those things you've got to put up with it, and you can't really set your bike up for it either. It's just...
Yeah, then we're waiting to see who that is. That's turn 1, I think. Yes, it is turn 1, and he's actually gone into the bales of hay that have been put there to try and deaden the fall. The barriers are a little close here, but it's all about... I don't think there's a major problem in turn 1 unless you're very unlucky.
I could be wrong, it looked a bit like Kyle Bryce, but I'm not quite sure on the Honda.
Well, Kyle Bryce struggling again to qualify, but he was having a ride round. Let's hope it wasn't Kyle Bryce, but we're keeping an eye now on 71, Yukio Kageyama. So what would Scott's strategy, do you think? I mean, how is tyre wear? How is the Kawasaki regarding... Oh, there he goes up the inside! Ha! In fact, Glenn, I think you just answered the questions I was asking you.
Yeah, well, Scott's very, very good in the slow corners, as we saw at Mallory Park through the bus stop and the hairpin. He just seems to, as a rider, I'm not sure what it is with him or his bike, but he's very, very good in the slow corners, as we saw at the hairpin there. He just jammed up the inside of James.
How is that Kawasaki? Sorry, Neil, you'll get an opportunity in a minute. I've got the bigger mouth. Kawasaki. How is the Kawasaki as this race progresses? How's your race set up for longevity?
Well, I think, it's going to... I don't know. Done race distance on. I don't think tyre wear's an issue around here. I think that's no problems. It's just going to be a fitness thing, just because the track's so bumpy.
Go on, Neil.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask Glenn. It appears to me it's really tricky to pass. It's pretty much one line around here. It's quite narrow. You say it'd be a tricky track to make some passing maneuvers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't had much of a problem over the last 2 days, but Dean Thomas was here the other day and he was going 2 seconds a lap faster than me and he couldn't pass me, so there's your answer.
Just and another answer for you, Neil. You were right, good spot. Carl Bryce, it was number 43 that was in the sand trap at the end of the front straight, so Carl Bryce is out of the race as well. He is a faller, that's been confirmed. So Kagayama, Smart, Hayden, Reynolds in 4th place, Rutter in 5th place, Tommy Hill now dropping to 6th place, Ryuichi Kianari, the HM Honda plant boy, is back there in 7th at the moment. Gary Mason 8th, 9th is Emmett. Yes, Sean Emmett on the Monster Mob Ducati. He will not be with Monster Mob next year, that is now confirmed, and he will be looking to impress if he can, but from 12th place on the grid, difficult to see how he's going to do that here at Croft.
Kagayama with the fastest lap, 121.58. That was on the second lap, and I can tell you that Kagayama on the Rizla Suzuki is using the softest rear tyre option. JR is in the medium rear tyre, so Kagayama feels that he can do race distance. He's been able to do 21s in practice. JR this morning did his first 21s on a medium rear tyre, but he says that he doesn't think the soft one would work for him over race distance.
Well, a big problem, of course, in that the tyre temperatures this morning were up and down like a yo-yo. It's much, much cooler on the track when they went out for their warm-up. The sun has now come out, so that track temperature will be going up. But, of course, they tested in very hot conditions yesterday, so everyone will know exactly what they should be on. And don't expect, as Glenn has already said, to find too many tyre problems out there at the moment. James Hayden, we're looking at number 36. He's coming under the pressure of John Reynolds and Michael Rutter, who are line astern behind him at the minute. So James Hayden, great to see James back in a competitive motorcycle ride and really putting it to good use in the closing stages of this British season. Still out front though, Kagayama.
Yeah, great to see James back, and great to see the Virgin Mobile Yamahas up to speed now. They look like they're competitive, they're working well. Pretty much everywhere they go, they seem like they've got a good race setup.
No coincidence that that started to pick up when James came on board, in my view.
Well, James, I think...
Oh, a block. He's just blocking Reynolds there, trying to get that Yamaha stood up on the fat part of the tyre. I mean, Reynolds wanted to carry a bit more speed into that turn. James Hayden certainly balked him in the middle of the turn. That's Paul Denning, team owner, team manager of Rizla Suzuki. And you've got to say that that won't suit JR too much. He wanted a little bit more speed in that corner. James was determined to make sure he used his bit of track to the best advantage of the Yamaha, and he just fired it out the fat bit of tyre.
Exactly, and there's no way JR's going to be able to pull a pass on James there, but that's one spot that JR was able to improve his bike through that final turn. He said he was high-siding every time, trying to get on the gas coming out there, but you can see he can carry a bit more corner speed now.
6 we are on at the moment. Still it is. Kagayama easing away. Well, in fact, he didn't. He lost a bit of ground at that time. He's down to 0.9 now. He was 1.1 second in front of Scott Smart on the last lap. That time it was down to 9/10 of a second. So Scott Smart just closing in a little on the leader at the minute. We'll keep an eye. It's a further 1.4 seconds back to this. We're looking at the moment Hayden, Reynolds, Rutter, and then Ryuichi Kianari, who's recovered from a very poor start, and judging by his Mallory pace, you remember what he did at Mallory Park, absolutely superb stuff there. He came right the way through the field brilliantly, and well, he was harassing Smarty in the closing stages of that, wasn't he?
Well, he really is back on form, and actually in front of Michael Rutter at Mallory Park, which really surprised me, and he's just stuck in the fastest lap of the race, in 6th position at the moment, but he's set the fastest lap of the race.
I've got a theory. I don't think it's the same Ryuichi Kianari. I think they took another one off the peg and sent us one that's fast again.
Well, it certainly appears like it's the one that was challenging for wins at Silverstone in the opening round this season, and he went off form a little bit, went back to Japan and came back a changed rider.
That's bike 23, the HM plant Honda of Ryuichi Kianari. There he is now, right in your picture, right behind, in fact right in front of him is his teammate Michael Rutter. And really we have got to address what is Michael Rutter's problem in the closing stages of this season, because he really has not had the pace that we all expect of him. Certainly the motorcycle is somewhere thereabouts. Kianari's proving that from the way he's making it work. But Michael Rutter, it really has been not a bad performance from him over the last couple of races, but a steady performance from him. And I've got to ask you the question, Neil, can you spot a reason why?
Well, it's very, very difficult. He's certainly got the right team behind him. Started the season really strong, started the season as a hot favourite and won the opening race at Silverstone. He's had a bit of bad luck. I mean, it is a new bike, so he has to develop it to a certain extent. They're on Michelin tyres that have never raced properly in the UK before. It's the first season here, so maybe some racetracks they've struggled a bit, whereas all the other guys are on Dunlops, and Dunlop have been here for years and years. So he has struggled a bit and had a few falls, and that doesn't help at all. You see at the moment JR behind James Hayden. He's had a good few laps behind him, trying to find a way around Scott Smart. Right in the back of Kageyama.
Yeah, right with Yukio Kageyama. He's been closing him down. It was down a half a second last lap, 9/10 of a second before that, and 1.1 second the lap before that. So Scott Smart, despite the fact he doesn't have the fastest lap just yet, that belongs to Kianari, the fact is he's the man to watch because he's closed right in now on Yukio Kageyama, and I can see Scott Smart's value going up every lap of the final parts of this season. Every time. Glenn Richards sits beside me here. I know he'll be pleased for Scott Smart, but you must be pig sick too.
I mean, he deserves it. Scott's put a lot of hard work into the team, you know, and last year he was riding fantastic last year, and he just had a lot of bad luck and he didn't get a result. And this year it's all turned around for him and he deserves it.
Kageyama then making a mistake. He got it spinning up that Suzuki, and you got to say that the ZX10 Kawasaki that Scott and Glenn have both developed very, very well in conjunction with Hawk Kawasaki has really come on so strong. If you remember how we were talking at Silverstone, the thing still had road parts on it, still had the key in an ignition switch. I know that might sound strange to those of you out there on road bikes, but of course race bikes don't often have keys and ignition systems.
The Kawasaki's certainly working well here, the Hawk Kawasaki of Scott Smart, and Scott has won it. He's made a mistake there, a bit too close to Kageyama, and had to take a bit of an escape route in the complex there. Lost a bit of time, but I'm sure he can get that back. Scott has won at 3 different racetracks this year, all of them pretty quirky racetracks, and he's particularly good on the twisty sections, and as Glenn says, his bike setup seems to work particularly well there, but he's certainly going to give Kageyama a hard time. Gary Mason into the pits, number 6 Gary Mason retired.
Oh, look at this, Rutter underneath Hayden, he bounced up.
He's turned wide.
Hayden's on the dirt, that's a big, I tell you what, he did damn well to stay on that motorcycle because there was a hedge, there was a whole row of bales there. I don't think John Reynolds pushed him. I think Hayden's eye was taken a little bit off the ball there, but we'll take a look at that now.
It was Michael Rutter really that was underneath him. I think John Reynolds had already got past him. Michael Rutter just squeezed them a little bit, but unfortunately there was no runoff.
It was Rutter that I meant, of course, and Rutter, be interesting to catch up a little bit earlier. We saw it really a bit late in the replay sequence there, but really has put paid to Hayden's efforts as far as the podium's concerned, because his tyres will be dirty with sand and gravel, and that has made a right old mess, and it seems to have put Michael Rutter now right to the rear wheel of John Reynolds. He's woken right up, hasn't he? He must have looked round and seen his teammate behind him.
Well, it certainly looks like the HM plant Hondas and the Michelins are working well here, although Michael Rutter lost a bit of ground to John Reynolds there. Within a few corners he's right back on him, and Kageyama at the front on a soft tyre. He seems to be struggling now because Scott Smart was right on his tail, so I just wonder if maybe the Suzukis and the tyres are maybe not the strongest package in race trim.
Well, we're going to wait and find that out, of course. We are looking at 3rd, 4th and 5th places at the moment. It's John Reynolds battling away with Michael Rutter and Ryoichi Kianari, but out front still Yukio Kageyama and that man 88, the Hawk Kawasaki of Scott Smart in 2nd place. Scott Smart had closed right down to something like half a second just 2 laps ago. It's back up to 1.2 seconds now. Kianari still has the fastest lap, which of course is a lap record because this racetrack is establishing new lap records each race we go through. 121.5 was Kianari's lap record, but 121.53 was Kageyama's last lap. So Kageyama consistently right on the fastest pace of this race, at the front of this race.
Kageyama just stuck in another 121.5.
Yeah, he's
impressive pace.
He's just right on it. He's just hundredths of a second off of Kianari's fastest lap of the track.
He was back down in the low 22s there, but he's managed to up the pace by half a second, which is quite incredible. Really.
Well, I think it was the fact that Scott Smart, obviously the board came out from Rizzo Suzuki, and Paul Denning was giving him a bit of the hurry up because Scott Smart caught one of, I'll say, your guys napping back at Mondello, remember?
He certainly did. I mean, could Kageyama be so much in control that he was trying to pull the pack together to allow JR to close up? Do you think that's possible?
Well, you're the man that works with both of them. Do you think that's possible?
I know Kageyama wants to win at all costs, and that includes beating John Reynolds, so certainly no team orders. Well, there's no team orders there. It's an unusual setup in that team because Kageyama is employed by the Suzuki factory in Japan. As far as he's concerned, there's no team orders. He's not going to take any riders out, but he wants to win this championship. He's still got a chance of winning. He's certainly got a good chance of finishing 2nd.
Well, we can give a big shout out as well to Mara Brown. Paul Brown is back after 2 years off of a motorcycle. He's now back, not through injury or anything along those lines. He's just been out because of employment. So Paul Brown, watch out for him on the ETI bike. He's the 4th rider this year on Alistair Flanagan's ETI Ducati, last year's winning machines. That's bike 34. Paul Brown, I know his mum Maud's watching at home.
There goes Rutter.
Oh, nicely done up the inside. Well, that is the favourite place. That's the chosen place for passing just there as Rutter goes through. And I'll continue my shout for Mara's family. His brother Mark, wife Carolyn are in Carolina State in Ibiza watching this. They'll be looking out for 34. Meanwhile, we look out for number 3 as he squeezes up the inside of John Reynolds. Reynolds just pitched his helmet to the right there. He saw Rutter coming, he gave him the room, and he'll be looking to make a way back if he can. But I would suggest that now Ryoichi Kiyanari is going to redouble his efforts and have a bit of a nibble at JR.
Well, as soon as Michael Rutter passed John Reynolds at Tower there, John Reynolds had a look round just to see if there's anyone else there, and of course Kiyanari really strong right on the back of Reynolds, so he's got him to worry about as well.
Strangely enough, it was John Reynolds' fastest lap of the race on that last lap as well, so we'll see what it clicks across the line now as they come to our telemetry. Kagayama goes over the start and finish line to record a 1:21.
There goes Kiyanari down the inside of John Reynolds into turn 1.
That's probably not too predictable, really, is it? You would expect Ryoichi to have made the move as soon as Michael Rutter did, but he ran himself a bit wide there, and John's took it straight back at him. Gets the power on through that long old right-hander, onto the back straight, through the chicane.
Bit of a bobble there for Kiyanari right in the edge of the tyres. Yeah, and Paul Brown, you mentioned him, and his mum makes the best flapjack, so good to see them back in the paddock, so we'll be seeing some more flapjacks in them.
Now Rutter put up his fastest lap of the race on that last lap, 1:21.6, so he's not a million miles off the fastest lap of the day so far by Kiyanari. No one's going any quicker. They're all in the 21s except the guys from 4th place Reynolds downwards. They're all on 22s at the minute. We're looking at John Reynolds holding off Kiyanari after Kiyanari had the bobble in the chicane. But Yukio Kagayama, well, he's consistently holding that 1 second lead over Scott Smark in 2nd place. Then it's Rutter who we're looking at, with Reynolds now drifting backwards from Rutter. Rutter getting in a quick lap each and every time. Rutter is 1.7 seconds behind Smart. So 2nd place is not out of the equation yet. And really, Michael Rutter, of course, 2nd in the series. I'll tell you what, Kiyanari is making the rear end of that motorcycle work just a fraction too hard for my money. It looks to me like Michelin are beginning to just let go a little bit. I don't know what tyres they've got on, and of course, being men that are used to Dunlops, it's difficult for us to guess.
Well, I don't think, very difficult thing to find out there unless you bribe the member of the HM plant understaff. But yeah, you can see Kiyanari pushing hard when he's strong, pushing hard, and brakes, unfortunately backing it in. And it's really hard around this racetrack. You're on the edge of the tyres for a long time, so you really have, it's a fine line. And you can see Smart closer to Kagayama again.
Absolutely again. This is the battle then. Yukio Kagayama. What a rider Yukio Kagayama is. What a man he is, both bravery-wise and personally. He is just such a star. A real asset to the British Superbike Series when the Japanese came to join us last year, and I tell you what, he is looking for that 2nd place in the series if he can. If Michael Rutter stays where he is at the moment, Yukio will have closed in on him and Scott Smart, who's behind him at the minute as well,
that was
in
strange.
the championship.
That was strange. He turned out a tower, he turned it really tight with a lot of track to spare, and you can see Scott Smart just drove right into the back of him.
I think that Yukio's got that rear end spinning up just a fraction now. You look at the way it sits down when he's on the side of the tyre. When he's asking for the power, it's beginning to sit and squirm, and Scott's closed right in on him there when he sat on the side of the tyre. Let's have a look at this as he squirts it out of here. Right, bottom gear, through the left-hander, the slowest part on the corner. Oh, look at that Suzuki fire out of there.
Got some traction there.
I'll tell you what, the Kawasaki is not slow in bottom gear out of there, Glenn, either.
I mean, the bike's just going better and better, and I mean, I've ridden the bike for a couple of months, and you know, yesterday, the day before, it just felt great, and it's probably nearly as quick as anything else out there now.
But still, the Suzuki, once it gets on that fat bit of the tyre, just seems to be able to yank itself straight out of that chicane, straight out of that hairpin, I should say. Fastest lap then, last lap time, and you can see the differences between Kagayama and Rutter. Rutter in 3rd place and closing in now on Scott Smart. It is Michael Rutter who is the mover and shaker on that last lap. He was the only man in 21s apart from Kiyanari, so Kagayama and Smart have slowed down, and that's given Michael Rutter an opportunity as we come to the last third of this race to really fight for a leading podium position. Rutter, well, just when we were saying, or just when I was saying, to take full credit for the criticism, Michael Rutter has come back. I was asking why he was in the doldrums. Obviously, it's a situation that is not rider-based. There must be something set-up-wise that he's just not quite happy with on a week-on-week basis. But here he is, as the bike, and I presume his tyres start to come to him in the latter part of this race. He now is closing in on Scott Smart in 2nd place. And you've got to bet that if it continues, he will close in on Yukio as well. I tell you what, they are very tentative out of there at the minute, aren't they?
They certainly are. It's the slowest corner on the racetrack. The bikes are right on the sides, so you have to be really careful. Well, they've all got 200 brake horsepower there pretty much. As Kiyanari looks for a way down the inside the JR into turn 1, not quite close enough.
I tell you what, Kagayama's times are up and down like
Second.
a yo-yo. He's back in 21s again. What's the matter with him?
Well, that was 22.8 was his last lap, and on that lap he just done was 21.8. So it's really the second either way.
I don't know whether he's just playing around because he likes it here so much.
Certainly.
He genuinely likes it here, doesn't he? He's loved Croft from the moment he's gone on the track.
He must be teasing everyone.
It's a hell of a way to tease people. They're not going to be happy if he is. Look at that, he's just cleared off again. He's just fired that gun, and Kagayama, he looks like he's being caught by these two. Well, he's taking the mickey, really. I don't know whether he's teasing. How is a Japanese sense of humour? Is he up for a bit of teasing?
He does sometimes take a bit of figuring out, but generally there's a plan and a reason for everything. It doesn't all become clear maybe till the debrief afterwards. But I mean, he goes out qualifying with a qualifier on, and you normally get 2 or 3 laps maximum, and he'll go out there and cruise around for 2 laps, and everyone thinks he's wasting his qualifier, and then he'll go pole position on his 3rd lap or 4th lap, which is quite incredible. He's just different.
So Teesside race fans being treated for their first taste of BSB as it now is in this guise. So British Superbikes are back at Croft, and what a welcome return it is. There is Tadayuki Okada, who was actually very, very fast in the Suzuka 8 hour. In fact, if I remember rightly, quicker than just about all his teammates.
Well, I can't comment on that.
No,
I know Kagayama was second at the Suzuki 8-hour race, and had a real tough time in the Suzuki there. Looked almost dead when he crawled off the bike after 8 hours, but did a brilliant job.
So through the chicane they go. Kagayama out front. Still Scott Smart in 2nd place. Still 3rd is Michael Rudder, but looking very, very determined indeed to try and make it 2nd place if he can, forcing it to fit. Well, oh, and up the inside goes Rudder. That's a block pass if ever I saw one. He just run in there, and Smarty goes back at tower, and he looked for the straight line. Did Scott Smart on the Kawasaki, but the new Honda Fireblade for this year, looked pretty good to me. Up the inside, well, just... You can see Scott Smart backing it in very slightly, but Rudder was right on the apex where Smarty wanted to be. That will not please Scott, but you've got to say Michael Rudder, he is capitalising on the fact that JR is, well, back in, 4th place at the moment.
He certainly is. JR is a 73-point lead in the championship, but the more riders Michael Rudder can get between himself and JR, the better, and he still has a fighting chance of winning this championship.
Well, we are on lap 16 of 22. Let's see what Michael Rudder can do. He's running on a bit hot there in the hairpin at the moment as we come onto the front straight, just past our commentary position now. That says it all, really, doesn't it? Double barrel, 0-0.
JR's not out of danger yet. He's got number 23 Kianari right in his tail still.
Lap 17 of 22. Kianari not over and done with. We saw what he was capable of at Mallory. Well, this is one of those races where it's very, very difficult to predict what's going to happen next. The sun is going in and out, the track is getting warm, it's getting cool, it's going backwards and forwards. And each one of these motorcycles, it's like a voyage of discovery at the moment as Michael Rudder backs it in the tower now. Runs out. No, he doesn't. He just keeps the line perfectly. He is chasing down Kagayama. The distance between them, let's just get this technicality sorted out, 1.2 seconds between Kagayama and Rudder as they crossed the line last time. Remember that figure, 1.2 seconds.
Michael Rudder certainly looks like he's back on form. He's really happy on that bike. It's moving around on the brakes. He's confident to run up the inside the riders and pass them and still make the turn and get off the corner. So he really has found a good race setup. Seemed to struggle a bit in practice, and in the last minute went to 2nd in the closing stages of the last qualifying yesterday, but he really seems to have a good race setup, and these Michelin's working well on the HM Plant Honda.
While Michael Rudder is closing in then on Yukio, gives it a bit of a breather very quickly to just quickly mention the Privateer Cup that's going on at the moment. It was, of course, John Kirkham who qualified the quickest out of the Privateers, but he's 3rd in that at the moment. James Ellison, the series leader, leads the Privateer Cup. He's 11th overall in this race, but he leads the Privateer Cup from local man Dennis Hobbs from Keysborough down the road here. Dennis Hobbs is still injured, remember. He really is finding it very, very tough, but he's 2nd in that with John Kirkham 3rd, James Buckingham in 4th place. That's the Privateer Cup situation as we look back at Michael Rudder now through the chicane, chasing down Yukio Kagayama. I have the feeling this might come down at the end of the day to tyres.
Well, we will see shortly if Kagayama does have anything left. He has been teasing. Michael Rudder on the last lap, lap 17, has just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:21.48. So really he has got something in the store, and certainly the second part of this race his bike's been the strongest, his package has been the strongest, and Kagayama, well, we'll just see what he's got left, if he is cruising at the front, if he is in control, because Michael Rudder will be on his back wheel within a few corners.
The strange thing is Michael Rudder has had a couple of offs this year that we just wouldn't have expected. Remember Mondello when he slung it away in sight of a win. and Mallory Park when he chucked it away at his home track. You know, that must be just wearing in the back of his mind. He just needs to build his confidence lap on lap, get faster and faster, slowly but surely. Yukio Kagayama is a real talent. If he can catch him and pass him, I feel Michael Rudder, if the bike's with him, will be right back to the kind of form that is going to make this championship absolutely something special by the end of the year.
And we know how confident Kagayama's been at this racetrack, and we know how aggressive he can be in the closing stages of a race, so it would be interesting to see if Michael Rutter can get alongside him. As you said, Michael Rutter has went down a couple of times. He really needs to win. He really needs to finish races and win and keep John Reynolds behind him.
Team manager Neil Tuxell, as we saw in your picture there for a moment. So it is 71, Yukio Kagayama that leads from number 3, Michael Rudder on the HM Plant Honda. It's Rizzo Suzuki leading HM Plant Honda. Then it is the Hawk Kawasaki of Scott Smart, now languishing back in 3rd place with John Reynolds on bike number 2, that's looking for his way. If he can pass Scott Smart onto the podium, it'll be a bit of a place. Of course, 2 Rizzlers back up there. And then it is 23, Ryoichi Kianari, Rutter's teammate, back in 5th place at the moment.
Well, Kagayama's seen his pit board, he's seen that he's +0 and he's digging in, and you can see that Rizzo Suzuki is much more on the move than number 3 Michael Rutter's Honda is, so he's digging in, he's trying now, he's making that Suzuki work hard.
Well, digging in, I've got to say that if Kagayama gets beat here, he will have beaten himself, in my opinion. It is only an opinion and not that valid, I'll grant you, of course, Neil, and you can straighten me out if you will, but his lap times have been up and down like a yo-yo, and in a quality race like this, he needs to have pulled the pin, kept that lead out. He could have had, I mean, he was up and down by a second a lap. That is not acceptable from a works rider.
I must admit, this is the most dominant he's been at any race this year. He started the season unfit, still recovering from horrendous pelvic injuries last year at Cattle Park, and he's gained strength, he's gained his fitness. He's not quite there yet, but he's been at his most confident this weekend, but like you say, maybe he's too confident.
Okay, you answered it in the end. I was just, oh, look at this, Kianari's in front of John Reynolds. Well, that's great for the championship, but bad news as far as John Reynolds is concerned, because he now is back down in 5th place. So Reynolds goes to 5th place. That does not score him a hatful of points. And if Rutter can win this race, 25 for a win, 22nd, 16 3rd, 13 4th, and 11 only for 5th place, which is where John Reynolds is on. So a whole hatful of possibilities here for Michael Rutter.
Now that's 14 points he clawed back. I mean, John Reynolds has got 73 points, so it would drop down a bit, but it's certainly useful, and points make prizes, and if he can force JR into a mistake, then who knows what can happen. 2 laps left to see what can happen here. 7
races left after this one, of course, and that is significant. Still a lot of points to be had.
Now, JR really has to think about damage limitation if he is struggling with his setup now.
Can't think too much about that as the season goes on, though. At the end of the day, you've got to make the performance, and JR is going to be under a little bit of pressure. I said at the top of the show, my worry is whether he gets a little bit too anxious. When you get anxious, you make mistakes. All you need to do is chuck it up the road. It was Michael Rudder's problem a couple of times this year so far. Maybe anxiety took him down the street, and of course the same can happen for JR.
Anything can happen. JR, he's been around a long time. He's won 50 odd British Superbike races, so I'd be surprised if he makes any mistakes. He knows what he has to do in this race, and Kagayama just done another 21.80, so he's got something left. Michael Rutter's not as close as he was in the last lap. Kagayama really forcing that Rizzo Suzuki.
Well, lap and 3/4 to go then. Yukio Kagayama, bike 71, Rizzo Suzuki leads the HM Plant Honda of Michael Rutter. A resurgent Michael Rutter, if I may call him that, because Mallory Park was a total disaster for him. It was what he categorises as his home track. He lives a stone throw from the front entrance to Mallory. And now he's back with a bang here at Croft. And great drive there. Fantastic drive from Rutter there through that long left-hander. And that has put him right back in with a shout. Rutter is moving to the shoulder of Yukio Kagayama with a lap and a bit still to go. This race is not over between these two.
He's got good drive there. He's also very confident braking and turning, and you can see where he was passing into Tower Bend that he's really strong. One thing getting close to Kagayama, another thing getting alongside him and getting past.
Could be a grass tracking exercise, but I'm afraid Michael Rutter, if he's going to stand any chance of winning this championship for Honda, he really has got to do something that's a little outrageous to take maximum points. He cannot give away 5 points when he's this close to them.
Last lap then.
Here we go, over the line. Kagayama quick down this particular part of the track. Watch for the charge from Michael Rutter down the back. He will be looking to line up Kagayama down towards Tower if he can. The Fireblade versus a GSXR 1100. In fact, 1000 even, going back a year or 10. It is Yukio, looks over his shoulder, he sees Rutter there, and he's done it all right coming out of that left-hander. Yukio has. I don't think Rudder's going to be close enough to make a challenge. We are now through that right-hander and Tower.
Michael Rutter's best chance to get a good drive out here.
Oh, what happened there? Yukio made a right mess of that. I do not understand what happened there at all. He made some kind. He looked like he was in the wrong gear.
Well,
Neil,
he did it. He had
your clue,
a
please.
similar problem earlier on with Scott Smart. When Scott Smart closed it, he turned out of Tower and had loads of track left, and it looked like you said he was in too high gear, but he's fighting back. He's faster. He's strong through the complex. I'm pretty convinced he's going to look for a way to get past Michael Rudder. But
look at the way he's winding it on now. Michael Rudder has got a real problem in Yukio Kagayama, but I don't know what Yukio Kagayama's problem was back there. He looked over his shoulder, looked round at Rudder.
It's a last corner job. A last corner job.
To the left-hander, we're into the braking area. Rudder's got it right so far. He's got to turn it and block. He's got to block. It's going to be Michael Rudder. The HM plant one. Oh, as Yukio takes to the grass. Over the line comes Yukio Kagayama. A fine win from Michael Rudder.